All right, end of the week, Friday, July 12th, middle of the summer. Decent volume, but a real tight range. So the expectations for a big day wasn't on. Wasn't a surprise that we had a real tiny IB of 4 points in the ES. But market relationships early on, whether this gets you just to read the market, even if it's 5 or 6 ticks, constantly work on stripping out randomness. That'll help build confidence. If there's nothing but randomness in whatever job you're doing, you're never going to get consistent because you'll never get confident. It's got to make sense. I compare a carpenter building a deck. Looks random. I don't know how to build a deck. It's not random to him. When a guy's painting on a canvas, it's random until it all starts to come together. So oftentimes, if you're confused and it seems random, that doesn't mean that you got to figure it out. But then there are times you could strip out randomness and compare contrast. Like, look at the chart on the right. This is the Russell. The TF used to be the symbol RTY out of the CME. Okay, that's here on the right. On the left is the S&P E-mini. Okay, they're both stock indexes. Small caps in the Russell, 500 stocks in the ES. So they're not going to chart exactly alike, but they're going to chart similarly most of the time because they're both stocks or stock indexes. So we get this market to make a rally or to make a high, kind of an overnight before the open rally in both the ES inside each circle. Then they both come off a little bit and then dance around, comes off a little bit, it's dancing around. So then we open at 8:30 Central. And what's interesting is the Russell, look at the right, does this. The Russell gets strong right in here, right? Well, if you're not watching the Russell, you're not going to notice that. If you're not around people that are watching ancillary markets, they're not going to keep you privy to it. Well, the S&P should rally. And when the S&Ps don't, and they're really right in here, they don't go up. They should be up here with a rally in there. They don't go up. And as I told guys, you got to be really careful of being long because we might dip down to yesterday's value area high on a TPO combined overnight with yesterday's day session. Maybe and get close to test yesterday's close because it was a gap open higher today. Not much, but sometimes I like to test the previous session's high. So when you're trading 9.5, 9 even, a move to 7 could shake you out if you're long, right? A move to 7 could get you short if you're bearish using these two. And sure enough, afterwards, they broke them. Now, did they break them and keep going? No, there was no break them, rally them, and keep going at all today in the first 2 hours. So they ended up storming back, but it went from 9.5 all the way to 7. That was, when I say predictable, yes, and less random, certainly. But you're not going to get that feel. I think the thing I said that I made up is the wind is blowing, but the flag isn't. It's windy and the flag ain't blowing. Something's off. Russell, NASDAQ are strong and the ES isn't. Just a scratch your head moment. And remember that. Scratch your head moment. Have a safe weekend. Do not beat yourself up deep into a Friday in the middle of the summer. Sometimes you need to shorten the days. It's a different business than maybe what you're used to. But you could also do a lot of work without having to trade. Don't trade because you're bored, or don't trade because you think it's increasing your work ethic. Because oftentimes it's the opposite. Time isn't always the only barometer for how hard you're working. So stay focused to ancillary markets, but get used to watching one at a time. And then before you know it, you'll be able to absorb more data than you ever thought possible. I was talking with someone yesterday about driving. It's a great analogy. You're driving, you're absorbing more data than you ever thought you could. Think about when you were 13 or 14, how hard driving might have seemed. And now most of you guys are pretty old, probably 67 years old. You've been driving for a long time. You're experienced. You're absorbing more data than you ever thought you could absorb. You guys are putting your makeup on, texting, adjusting the radio, giving someone the finger, and you're still able to handle that vehicle without smashing into other people. There's good drivers, there's bad drivers, but thankfully it's pretty low risk to go out there and drive 70 miles an hour with someone 3 feet away from you. Pretty amazing. It's because we're all absorbing data and doing the right thing at the right time. So you're always more capable to do more than you thought. Don't cut yourself short. You could watch more than you thought. And what happens is you begin to slow it down. One more analogy. Guys pitching in a baseball game. Millions of people are watching, right? Millions of people are watching. He's not going to be able to perform unless he slows his heart rate down and the whole situation. Because if he got caught up in the moment of how important are millions of people and all the pressure, he wouldn't be able to throw the pitch 10 feet. It's not because they're crazy athletic. It's because they are trained to slow it down. Whatever it does, whatever works to slow it down, do it. Have a nice weekend.